Good studio monitors can be an expensive addition to your home studio. And if you're just learning how to produce music, their hefty price tag can be daunting. But here's the good news. You don't need $1,000 studio monitors to get an accurate mix. You can get professional quality mixes right now just using your headphones. After 10 years of music production experience, I've compiled a list of strategies you can use to get a high quality sound from only using your headphones. In this video, I'll show you the best type of headphones for mixing and mastering. I'll show you why you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on studio monitors or software to get an accurate mix. And then lastly, I'll share with you a secret that will let you use even the shittiest pair of cans to get pro quality mixes. Let's get started. I divided this video into 6 easy steps. You can skip to any of the tips using the chapter markers below. I'd recommend watching until the end because the last tip is more helpful than an excuse to leave Aunt Sue's dinner table. The first tip on this list is to understand your headphone types. If you didn't know, there are different types of headphones. Kind of like types of Pokemon, except there's only 2, and none of them are super effective. They are closed back headphones and open back headphones. Closed back headphones have a closed ear design. They're designed to keep the headphones from leaking audio out, which makes them perfect for recording. But this isolation comes at a cost. Closed back headphones tend to exaggerate the low frequencies of a mix. On the other hand, literally, open back headphones have an open ear design. Though they're not as good at keeping audio inside the headphones, they offer a clearer, more open picture of the frequency spectrum. In an ideal world, you would use closed back headphones for recording and open back headphones for mixing. But let's be honest, most of us probably just have one pair of cans and that's fine. Simply knowing about the bass buildup in closed back headphones can be enough to work with them. And as long as you follow my next tips, you'll be able to use whatever headphones you want. On to tip number 2, which is headphone mixing software doesn't work. I'm talking about things like SonarWorks, ARC, or REW. They analyze your headphone's frequency response pattern and apply an EQ to flatten the frequency spectrum. This sounds helpful, but I recommend avoiding it. They're about as useful as a leash for your goldfish. They're not completely useless, but they're not worth the time it takes to relearn what your headphones sound like, nor the couple hundred clams you'll shell out to get them. Your current headphone response isn't bad, it just needs to be understood better, which you can do by following the other tips I've laid out. Talk about some good segues so far. Moving right along to tip number 3, which is understand the differences between monitors and headphones. Just like how closed back and open back headphones give a different view of the frequency spectrum, monitors and headphones also do. They do too. There are 2 main things to keep in mind when comparing headphones to studio monitors: the stereo imaging and the difference in reverb. When mixing with headphones, the separation of sound between the ears can over-exaggerate the stereo width of a track. If a track is panned all the way right, then on headphones, the left ear won't hear anything. Whereas on monitors, they would still be able to perceive some sound. One way to combat this is to check your mix in mono by putting a mono plugin on the last slot of the master out bus. Then you'll be able to adjust any stereo item that's too loud or too quiet. There's only 2 more tips till I show you how to mix a pro song with a pair of garbage headphones, so stay tuned. The other difference in comparing headphones to monitors is the way we hear reverb. Headphones provide an exaggerated sense of space, which makes it easy to overdo effects. Practice using less reverb than you think. Then be sure to check it in your mix with other professional mixes to make sure you've got it right. Those professional mixes you'll use lead very nicely into tip number 4, which is use reference tracks. I've talked about reference tracks a lot on this channel before, but they're really that important. They're the Olympic torch to our mixing games. Pick a few songs in the same genre as the one you're making and listen to them on your headphones. Note the differences in reverb, volume, EQ, and adjust your mix accordingly. Your song isn't going to sound exactly the same, but having a goal to shoot for means you might actually score. When using reference tracks, be sure to match the volume levels of the reference track with your track. This gives you a better representation of the sound. Remember that sneaky bastard loudness will trick your brain into thinking that the louder sound is better. My favorite plugin for referencing is called Metric AB, and it does all of that for you. Link in la description. I'm sorry, French people. But even the French can't be mad at tip number 5, which is to check your mix. After you've done all the dirty work and got your tracks all getting along together like some best friends at a high school reunion, you're not done yet. Go and play your track on whatever other speakers you've got and see if it stacks up. Play your mix in the car. Play your mix in the bar. Play your mix in the dark. Really just play it wherever you want and compare it once again again to some professional tracks. As you get more familiar with your mixing setup and your headphones, you'll find yourself having to do this step less and less. But don't worry, if you build it, they will come. Or if you mix it a lot of times, it gets easier. Tomato, tomato. And speaking of getting familiar, that leads us into the last step of the puzzle. Does that make sense? The last tip of the ship, tip number 6, is to learn your headphones. There is nothing that you can do to substitute learning your headphone sound. It's the main reason that professional mixes are possible with headphones. Don't necessarily mix your song to what sounds good, at least at first. Mix your song according to your reference tracks and try to emulate them. Over time, your ears will get used to the sound of your particular headphones, and you'll be able to crank out tracks like a factory. It takes time to learn headphones, but the result is well worth it. Even if you're using a $20 pair of headphones that you found on Shein that have pop sockets on the side, if you learn what a properly mixed song should sound like on them, there's no reason why you can't produce a hit with them. And by God, you'll look so good doing it. And to put my money where my mouth is, I'm laying down a challenge. If this video gets 500 likes, I'll make a video where I'll learn the sound profile of this pop socket headphones and mix a full song on them. If you want to see me suffer through that, hit the like button. Or alternatively, if you want to learn more about mixing, you're going to love this video I made that will teach you a peculiar trick to mix songs faster. Check it out up here.